Hello, everyone. Today I'm going to talk about the data-driven investments, and we're going to look into it through the perspective of the customer, advisor, and the bank itself. I represent Retail Investment Tribe at Danske Bank. At this tribe, we make it easy for the customers to invest, as well as enable advisors to offer best-in-class investment advice for our customers. We serve around 800,000 customers in Denmark, Sweden, and Finland who have invested around 120 billion euros with Danske Bank. And I'm myself a product owner in the same tribe, responsible for the investment holdings and transactions, as well as investment portfolio calculations domains. A little bit what I'm going to talk about today. So we're going to talk about the data-driven investment portfolio. I'm going to show you something about what's happening in the back end, as well as present a couple of the user interfaces that are being used by our customers and advisors. Just before they start, I want to say that this is not some sort of universal investment advice. So if you are trying to think of how to start investing or how to adjust your investment portfolio, please talk to the real investment advisor who has a full overview of your financial situation before you do that. And let's go. So a little bit to get you onto the topic. So what do we do with our money? One of the obvious choice is to spend it all. And you might all think that, oh, that's so irresponsible. No one is really doing that. But actually, we do. And according to a study by Swedbank, which is one of the biggest operating retail banks in Lithuania, nearly half of the Lithuanians, how they live from salary to salary. So basically spending everything. But we agree it's not the most responsible financial habits, right? So we should do something else. And another option is to save it. And after some time, you might hear that investment is the trending topic, and you might want to start investing. And when you start, it's not so easy because it seems like a complicated topic. And how do I start investing? And it's quite often that people tend to buy a single stock. So example would be I work in Danske Bank. I heard about this amazing 28 strategy and company I know it's going to do so well. I'll just make some money, buy some Danske Bank shares, and then it's also going to be a great motivator for me to be employed at the company that I also partially own. And to compare these financial habits, how they differ, I would like to talk about the eating habits, and this will maybe help to understand the difference between all three options. So when you spend it all, it's like having a fridge at home, but not really adding any food to it. When you start saving it, it's when you buy some food and you actually add it to the fridge. But there is a problem. If it's not consumed on time, it decreases in value. So the value of the food that you added to begin with, it's not going to be the same after a certain time because the food is going bad and you might need to throw some of it away. And the same happens with money. If you don't do anything with it, you just keep it on your account, the value decreases with time. So investing is obviously an option. So when I talk about the single stock, when you start investing, I was thinking what people do when they start cooking. And, the students, they love pasta, right? It tastes not too bad. It's easy to cook. It's kind of delicious. However, after some time, it becomes boring, both single stock investment as well as a pasta. And then, you kind of read about the subject more, either it's cooking or investments, and then you want to add some flavor into it. And here is your crypto. However, as a person who is working in the investment sector for nearly 5 years, I should say that none of these options would be recommended if you would ask me. And that brings us to a topic of my presentation today, which is the investment portfolio. So what is the investment portfolio? You no longer have a single stock. You buy several different asset classes, and then it becomes so colorful. It's well distributed between the different sectors, regions, and it's really nice to look into. And the same happens with the food. When you are more mature, you are better with cooking. You add, correct amount of carbs and fats, and it's not boring, it keeps you healthy, and both of these are the way to live your life with responsible financial habits and responsible eating habits. As we are now on the subject, I would like to keep the food away and concentrate on the investment portfolio. So when we start talking about the analysis, it always starts with the data. So let's deep dive into what is the data behind investment portfolio. This is the core data, what we hold in our Danske Bank. It's fairly simple. So there's like a customer, investment security, and the number of units the customer holds. So it seems fairly basic and easy. However, to maintain it and keep it up to date, relevant for the customers, it requires a lot of data processing. And there are the reasons why it requires that much of the data processing. One of the things are the obvious ones. When customers buy, sell stuff, we need to update it and consolidate the data with the securities back office, custodian banks, and mass trade systems. Another thing is we also sometimes need to mirror things, and a good example would be pooled investment. So when you don't invest yourself, you give some money to the bank collects money from more people, pool it together, and then invest it for the time period and distribute the returns after some time. However, you as a customer, you still want to see what's happening with your money. So even if you are not the legal owner of underlying investment securities, you would, thanks to the mirroring, you would be able to see what's happening with your money. And last but not least, corporate actions. And many people probably don't think about that much, but when you buy some sort of share, and even if you don't do anything with it, just sits in your account, it doesn't mean that your investment portfolio doesn't change, because the world still continues spinning, and companies merge, go bankrupt, acquire each other, and then we need to get all of these events from around the world and adjust the customer holdings accordingly, so it's reflecting the situation as of today. And in the spirit of the Tech Night, I prepared the overview of the tech stack used to get this data up to date. So our data is actually being stored on the mainframe DB2 tables, and it's being updated either via mainframe using PL1 and COBOL, or it can also be updated via cloud technologies using C#. And one other thing, corporate actions in different countries might be seen differently from the tax perspective. So we also have some front-end solution for our tax specialists to update corporate actions in each country accordingly, so customers are taxed correctly in the end of the tax year. However, when you look into this data, it says that I own 1 Danske Bank share, Edvinas owns 2 VIX shares, and Asta owns 3 Telia shares, but then can you really make any conclusions out of that? Not really. So I can't even say which one is the richest one, right? So for that, we need to get more data. And this is the more data. So some of the obvious things that we need to add is the price and the currency exchange, because the shares you might have might be held in a different currency. And when you go into the investment portfolio, you look through the asset allocations. For example, you need stuff like asset classes, region, sector, ESG score of the security, as well as such a simple things as a security name, because the international security ID is not necessarily so intuitive to understand. And all of this data we get from the external providers. I have a couple examples added here. So well-known exchanges such as Bloomberg, Nasdaq, Euronext is just a few examples, because in Danske Bank we actually use over 100 exchanges to get the data from. And when it comes to non-numerical data fields, we get it from the external data providers as a FactSet and Morningstar. And again, a little bit about the tech stack for backend, for frontend. Same data on the DB2, and to provide all the calculations with extra data, again, we use 2 technologies. It's either on mainframe or on cloud. And I know a lot of tech nights go, even when we talk about Danske, they talk about the migration from mainframe to cloud, but by this day, I'm well trained by our architects, stop using this incorrect term, because at least in our domain, we don't do migration, we do collaboration, hybrid setup, and we actually still use both technologies for the different purposes. And it's not just Danske Bank, it's 90% of the world's top banks are still using mainframe, and 2/3 of the Fortune 500 companies as well. So both are still intact in our domain. Okay, so as we looked into the data, let's deep dive into user interfaces, and first we cover the customers. Here you can see a screenshot of the Danske Bank mobile app. So when the customer is investing with the Danske Bank, they have this overview of the investment portfolio split between the different asset classes, sectors, regions, and currency. And it's not just a fun thing to watch. You can also actually derive a lot of conclusions out of it if you know how to do it. And just a little example, maybe the one that it's the most easier to understand is the distribution between the bonds and shares. If you wanted to kind of see how risky your portfolio is, the more you have on the shares, the more risky it will be. And it's sorry if some of you already know this, but just to keep everyone in line, it's because when you buy a bond, it's the same as lending some money to the company. And when you buy a share, you become a partial owner of the company. And if there are times when the company is going not through the good times, right, they would still have the obligations to pay back the money they have borrowed. So the bondholders would still get what they're supposed to get, while the shareholders would not get the good dividends, and then the value of the shares would also be decreased. So when the company is going down, you would be going down together with the company as a shareholder. And a little bit about the tech stack. So currently in our area, front-end developers are using React Native. However, Danske Bank colleagues maybe know, externals know, but Danske Bank signed up a contract with a company called Backbase that offers off-the-shelf solution for mobile, e-bank, and advisory portals. So our front-end developers need to upskill and then start using another 3 programming languages for that. And another very cool thing that I want to show that Danske Bank is releasing next month in the mobile app, it's also related to your investment portfolio. So here you can see which portion of your investment portfolio is actually invested through the sustainable assets. And even if it's very simplistic view for the advisor, it's a lot of complicated stuff going behind the scenes when the security is actually flagged as the sustainable or not. And I'll just try to give you the easiest example is when, for example, you buy a share of the recycling service. So the business model itself kind of clearly sustainable, so that company will be counted towards your sustainable investment. And by the way, I checked all 3 companies presenting today, Danske, Vix, and Telia, all of them are sustainable checks, so good news. And tech stack, I don't know. And this is the message. We are kind of going outside of my product area, and I didn't want to go that much deep into the tech stack, not to make any mistakes or say something incorrect. However, we do have plenty colleagues here, I see, from the retail investment tribe. So if you are interested in any particular topic and you want to know more about the technical setup behind the scenes, just let me know. I'll direct you to the right person. And also, wink, wink, we are hiring. So if the domain is interested, that also please reach out. Okay. Now let's move on to the advisor's perspective and what the advisors see. And there is one big difference between the advisor and the customer. Both of them see the investment portfolio distributions, but advisor has an additional piece of information, which is called investment profile. So basically just advisor talks to a customer, asks a bunch of questions about the customer's financial situation, knowledge of investments, and derives the very important measures such as ability to bear loss, risk tolerance, ESG preferences, and also gets the list of appropriate products for the customer. And only then advisor is able to build a investment profile, which is to build investment portfolio which matches the investment profile. Thank you. And here you can see a very cool tool that our advisors have. It's called Investment Analyzer. So what it does, it just basically merges in an investment profile and investment portfolio and checks if it's in line. And if it's not, it gives you the tips what needs to be done so your investment portfolio is actually aligned with your investment profile. And last but not least, I would like to present also the bank's perspective of the data-driven investment portfolio. And there was a study conducted by Simon Kucher Consultants. And in Europe, 65% of us actually wants investment advice. And it's not necessarily has to be face-to-face. It can be through the notifications. It could be robo-advice or emails, but just something, because it's a tricky area to be when you start investing, and we need it. We want advice. And it's not only that we want advice, we also need the advice, because even in Danske Bank, I checked today, there is around 15% of the investment portfolios with a single asset in it, which is not fund, because fund it wouldn't be that bad, it's already diversified. And it is a problem. We are talking about 100,000 customers, right, that has this portfolio that we would not be recommending for people to have. So the solution is to go digital, because in Danske Bank, we have several hundreds of advisors and 800,000 customers. So it would be impossible to keep the contact face-to-face on a daily basis. It's only normally the wealthier people that have this opportunity. So the investment advice can only be scaled up using the digital or robo-investment advisors, which is loading in Danske Bank. There are people who are working on that. And in the meanwhile, we have something else to offer for the customers. One is this product called June. It works very similar to what I have showed you before. So it's just instead of talking to advisor, you go to create your investment profile digitally, and then you get some products assigned to you. The difference is that this is very limited number of products that you can have. So basically, there's like 6 June investment funds with the different risks, and according to your investment profile, you'll be directed to buy a number of June funds, which is intact with your risk preferences. And on the top, we also have this knowledge center, which is available for our customers through the mobile app. So you can go there and then pick the topic that you like, and get to know more about the topic through the story format. And hopefully, like this, you know more about the investments. You can read your investment portfolio view a bit better, and then adjust it accordingly. And talking about the robo-advisors, there is plenty of them already available in the market. I Googled the top 5 robo-investment advisors in the world, and they're all listed here. And actually, Wealthfront even has the stock options available, not only the funds, as for example, June. But surprise, not surprise, they are all American. And there is a bit of the difference between financial regulation in US and Europe. In Europe, we have this thing called MiFID II, which stands for Markets and Financial Instrument Directive, and it's all about investor protection. So whenever you give any form of advice towards the customer as a bank, you have to be 100% certain that it will be perceived correctly and you would not harm the investor. In US, the regulation is not that tough, so they are moving, I think, a bit faster. But however, it's on the agenda of all the banks and the fintechs. So I imagine we'll see more and more robo-investment advisors going forward. And this is the end of my presentation. Just like that, you now know what data-driven investment portfolio looks like. And I'll happily answer questions if there will be any.